The following program is produced by the Tech Talk Radio Network.
Hey, what's up? This is Tom Arnold, and you're listening to Tech Talk Radio. They're really great, and I love them. Hey, how about a copy of Windows? Can I get a laptop?
Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme.
Lots been going on. So as we get into the show, number one, a new game is out that has taken the internet by storm. We tried to get keys for it because normally we could reach out to these companies and we could say, hey, send us keys.
Not this game.
This game, no. No, they're not giving out any keys because it is in such a high demand.
Yeah.
Justin has built himself a computer, brand new
rebuilt.
one. You kind of went from scratch.
Kind of. Yeah. I'll talk about that.
Shawn got himself something he has to carry around to really show what an absolute true radio geek he is.
You could say I went ham.
You went all now. Is it an actual ham now? Do you have the ham license to do it?
Yeah, I've had my technician license since the end of April.
Oh, okay.
So I've got my GMRS license and my technician license, and I'm taking my general exam on the 15th.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Now you have this big antenna.
Killing me, Smalls.
You have a big antenna now. You can hold it up, and you can actually talk to the space station if you wanted to.
Yeah, so I haven't verified a contact yet because my voice memos wasn't recording on my phone, but I did have somebody else. I don't remember what their call sign was because they talk 200 miles an hour. Somebody else did call back my call sign from the repeater on the space station.
That's neat.
From the repeater on the space station.
Yeah. So
are you sure you didn't actually hit a local? Oh no, because you dialed into the ISS frequency.
Yeah. So I've got the frequencies programmed right. So I track the space station using an app on my phone called SkyGuide, which is
great. What
great,
is the frequency of the space station?
There is a website called the Amateur Radio International, ARISS.org.
Okay.
Amateur Radio on the International Space Station. So if you're interested in listening to the space station or making a contact with the space station, you can go to that website and get all the information you want. So it's you uplink at a VHF frequency and you downlink at a UHF frequency. I've got it programmed so when I key my radio, I'm transmitting on, I want to say 149.5 something, 590 I think, and then I'm listening on diff 479. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've got a Yagi antenna. Yagi just stands for
Yagi.
Is it Yagi or Yagi?
Yagi. I don't know. Whatever it's called. Yagi.
Wow.
Says the guy with the technician license doesn't even know how to pronounce it.
Whatever. Yagi, JPEG, whatever. You want to call it GIF, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
It looks like one of those old TV antennas.
Yeah, it does.
So this is they call it a 3-beam Yagi. The center beam is actually the actual receive. This is actually the one that receives the radio signals. And then the one at the front is a reflector, and the one at the back is a deflector. So this one will reflect the signal towards it. This one will deflect it back, so the center picks it up. So this part here is actually where.
Now, how much did that set you back to be able to do this?
$98, I think. I bought it from a company called Arrow Antennas online. It's very cumbersome. You start knocking stuff around with it.
Yeah, I can see that.
That is a pretty cool piece of hardware there.
But yeah, so all I do is I took it upstairs. I plugged in. It's got B and C connectors on it, so I had to get some connectors to make my radio have B and C connectors. And I just plugged it in. Then you just hold it, and you have your radio in your hand, and you just as you're tracking.
And you look like a complete dork.
Yes, I look like a complete dork. I don't think I have a clip of it because I recorded myself doing it the other day.
We got to see
weird.
that.
It's like this. You're just and you're rotating it. And it
people across the street are like, "Wow, Shawn must be on some new medication."
But no, I immediately heard a difference in the quality of the signal, right?
Yeah.
In what I received because it's very directional. That's the point of this antenna. It's a beam antenna, right? It focuses the beam down the center of the antenna. So unlike the Abri antenna, right, the long one I have, that's very omnidirectional. This is very directional. So you have to kind of know where the space station is going and track it so you're actually following it as it's going across the sky. And then you have to turn it because it's polarized, right? So if you're not hearing it right, you might have to rotate it 90 degrees to get horizontal versus vertical.
People across the street are going to think you're fighting some like imaginary dragon or something. Like,
you know what would be great? You know what I pictured, Shawn? You know when a dog goes and gets surgery and they have to wear the cone? You got to do this while you're wearing a cone. I think this
Oh
would be.
my god! With an aluminum foil hat, dude.
I'm gonna need a straight jacket on. I'm gonna need the whole thing. But,
Oh my gosh!
so even just from my backyard, right?
Right.
I'm kind of disappointed because I set it up to record on my computer and my phone, and neither of them actually recorded. But I did get my first contact with somebody
Really?
talking to the repeater on the space station.
Nah,
So
that's cool. Yeah.
the way it works is you listen, and then you hear it's busy. It's super busy. People are talking to it all the time when it's up there. You kind of just have to find a gap and just if you hear any little bit of silence, you just get your call sign in there. You call your call sign, so it'd be KD9 VFE, and then you got to say your grid square, right? So there's the ARRL put out a list, and I'll share that link. But there's grids, squares around the world, and that's your identifier for where you're calling from.
Right.
So I would say KD9 VFE EN61. So if somebody looked at that grid square, they would see that I'm calling from within this grid square.
How big is the grid square?
Yeah. What kind of area does it cover?
I don't know. It's probably 50 or 60 miles by 60 miles.
Oh, okay. All
It's
right.
pretty
Yeah.
neat.
So like, I'm right at the edge of like, almost at like four corners of like 4 different grid signs because I'm in Northwest
Okay.
Indiana. So I did that, and then I heard somebody call back their call sign and my call sign.
That means they heard you.
But then I'm tracking it, and then it broke up, and then I was like,
Can I ask you this? Let me just play devil's advocate just for a moment.
All right.
Is it possible that you actually didn't hit the ISS, but what you did was just transmit enough into the ionosphere that it bounced back down, and somebody else just happened to pick that up, and you actually never contacted the ISS? I'm
so
wondering,
were
you hearing?
If you're clearly not studying for your technician's test.
Yeah, he's a Debbie Downer, isn't he?
VHF and UHF signals aren't reflected by the ionosphere.
Aha.
VHF is spuriously.
Oh.
Okay,
Spurious
spuriously,
emissions.
but that's not
See?
going to be. That's not
Says
even
the
gonna
guy with the
create a
technician
contact.
license. I am studying for mine.
You guys.
Nice try there, bud.
I still think it's kind of cool because I got my license for GMRS, right? I got all excited. I got this radio that was gifted to me, and I have not talked to a soul on this thing at all. I can't even get a radio check. I've tried. I've signed up for a couple of local repeaters. There's a couple of really good ones. Mount Lemmon has a 100-mile range. I got on that one. I got another one that's like seriously about 2 miles away from me. And I got the PL. I signed up, and the guy sent me the PL tones. I put them in my radio. I try and key. I can't see it on the map. Nothing. So I go all out. You guys are going to love this. I go all out, and I said, what is this antenna that you recommended, Shawn? It's the
Signal stuff.
The Abri.
Abri. So
Abri.
I go online, and I see this Abri. And I'm like, wow, this thing's only like $12, $13. And it's a foldable, collapsible antenna, and it's got a lot of length. And I'm thinking, I'm going to look like really an idiot carrying this whole small handheld radio with
You
antenna.
are a radio DJ, so
Well, yeah, I guess, but it's an antenna that's bigger than my daughter, right? So I'm thinking, okay, but I order it. And I make the big mistake that everybody makes, female versus male. I think it's what I needed was a male, and
so
I
many
needed...
times have I made that mistake when I was in Thailand.
Wow.
Wow, Justin for the win on that one. Wow. So I get the wrong one. I'm trying to connect, and I'm so I seriously within a half an hour I got a return. So now I got to order the right one, and I'm thinking, wait, because I'm not sure if this radio even works because I'm not getting
So
anything.
let me ask you this, Andy: if you turn the radio on and you leave it on,
Yeah.
do you hear any traffic?
Oh yeah, I do. Matter of fact, even the net, I would participated in the net on Sunday, waiting to hear Justin, but nothing.
Oh, see, I stopped doing that net because I wasn't ever called on. So I was like, you know what? Screw this.
And I tried the net, and I'd say, WRTN 713 checking in. Nothing. Not even, okay.
All right, I think during the break we're gonna have to see if we can figure out what's going on.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
Shawn
thinking
is the
maybe-
guy probably that could do that.
Maybe just to all respects to the man who gifted me the radio, maybe it's time to get a Baofeng and try a completely different one. Because I don't even have a programming cable. I don't have that. I just have to program it manually.
And I should mention this, that, if you're studying for your exam or you're looking at the laws and the rules about ham, the Baofeng radio is not licensed for GMRS.
Oh,
the Baofeng's right. They're not certified.
Certified.
I think it's part. They're not certified part 90 or part 95, meaning they don't meet the specs for transmission on GMRS frequencies.
Oh,
so
now,
technically,
yeah,
you transmit using a Baofeng UV5R, you're breaking the law.
Technically, technically, that's the thing. But that's the key word. But I was watching. There's a YouTube channel I've been following, and I want to give a shout out. He obviously probably doesn't even know we exist. However, not a Rubicon Productions. This guy, all he talks about, right. I love his videos because he's such a heckler. He heckles all the people that leave comments on his videos, but he talks about it and he's like, "Oh, but people, it's illegal. You can't do that. Oh, you're going to get busted." And then he goes back and he looks through every single time the FCC ever busted somebody for illegally transmitting on a Baofeng, and it was a blank sheet of paper.
So what is a Baofeng for then? I mean,
it's for ham. For ham, if you get your technician license.
So it's not GMRS.
No.
So here's the problem is the issue with it is that there are power restrictions with GMRS.
Yeah.
And
like
the ability
watt or
to
2 watts or something.
Have a radio that you can increase the power beyond that limit on certain channels, right? So, and the FCC they're not great radios. They're very they bleed over and they're wider on the band, so they bleed over into other frequencies, and they're not very well liked by ham radio operators.
All right,
because they're not very efficient Chinese radios.
It's funny that you mentioned that they're not really well liked. That's true, but Baofeng is the biggest seller of ham radio in the world combined. If you combine Kenwood, ICOM, and Yaesu, Baofeng beats them all.
Huh?
Because
Combined.
they're cheap.
I had no idea. I thought that's what you used for it. So I'm glad you guys kind of cleared the air on that.
Again, technically.
Right.
So there are some Baofeng radios that are Part 90 certified, right? But it's not the UV5R. It's not their cheap version, right? So like the B-Tech GMRS radio that I have is actually a Baofeng radio just licensed for GMRS. It just does
that's
GMRS
what the
frequency.
B stands for in B-Tech.
Baofeng Tech.
There you go.
They also make other radios. If you don't tell anybody you're doing it, nobody's ever going to know.
Yeah, nobody's ever going to know.
Yeah, that'd be my luck, though. Knocking on my door.
Nah.
It's going to happen.
You know what? That'll be your luck, but that would be funny as heck.
Thanks.
Local radio DJ get busted by the FCC for transmitting on radio waves.
And I'll blame it on you guys. You guys got me into this. It is fun, but again, like I said, I've had no luck in getting mine to work, and maybe we'll be able to figure it out. But in the meantime, what?
Don't you have an FCC license already because you are a broadcaster?
I have a Class C, so we're talking about.
But you do have an FCC license.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, but not for amateur radio.
ham,
Okay,
ham amateur radio. I'm a professional, man. Thank you.
He says
None of this
professional.
amateur business.
He says professional in quotation marks.
I don't mind hanging out with you.
It's only because he gets paid for it.
I don't mind hanging out with you amateurs. That's how it works here. Yes. I actually found my license the other day, a little yellow card that went to broadcasting school. We all had to get it. I took a test, but it wasn't that difficult.
Well, that's the kind of the thing with amateur radio. The technician exam is really not that hard. And you got to understand some concepts, obviously. And the general test is a little bit harder, but what I've been hearing is the amateur extra, which is the top of the class license that you can get, is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
The general takes it up a notch just because you start getting into much more restricted bands down in the higher frequencies. The 40 meter, the 20 meter, the 40 meter, the 80 meter, and higher. But
it's like going from like Tabasco to like habanero sauce to like straight up like Carolina Reaper.
Right. Okay. I got it. All right. Let's shift gears a little and talk about the tech that Justin has been involved in lately, which involves and I'll get to something. There's something I want to ask you that may be affecting my radio too. Should I just go with that? Here, let me ask you.
Yeah.
All right. So I bought myself a Linksys 6E, a Hydra 6E, a brand new router. You know, it runs
wireless router.
Yeah, wireless router. I decided because my 5 was starting to get to the point where it would reboot all of a sudden, or just little issues with it. So I thought, okay, go with the 6. So I hooked it up. Man, was that a pain in the neck for anybody that is switching out your routers. If you've got doorbells, cameras, security cameras, pretty much everything throughout your house, you have to reconfigure. All the Alexa devices have to reset. Even if you use the same password, you use the same SSID, you still got to reset it because it's brand new. But I did notice something the other day. I've been involved in this cassette project for a listener that I met here at KJVY when I was doing mornings here, and it was actually pretty cool. They heard me talking about using RX9 from Isotope and how happy I was. And then I mentioned that I like doing this digital restoration. I like taking cassettes, which I'm going to be involved with, helping Justin with that.
Whenever I get around to send them to you.
When you send it to me. So they actually sent me 18 gospel cassettes to go ahead, and they wanted to have them digitized. I said, okay, cool, I can do it, yeah. Well, I noticed when I was doing the transfers on them, I would get, on the left channel, I was getting a fluttering, like an electric fluttering, feedback. And I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Check the heads, check the connection. It's a USB connection, goes right into the PC. Tried different USB connector, could not get it to go away. Then one day I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what if I added, because I did one tape, it was fine. But what have I added since then? The router. So I went ahead and I powered down the router, turned it off while I was doing the work. That flutter went away. So off the router, I'm getting electronic interference from the electronic device, which is about 2.5, 3 feet away.
So have you tried getting a USB cable that has a Ferrite choke on it? No.
And that's what I was going to ask you. What would be a good recommendation if you're using it near a router?
So getting a Ferrite choke that would live at the end, like you'll see it if you look at a lot of power cables, they have Ferrite chokes on them.
There's a little round connector at the end, right?
Yeah, it's just got metal in it, right? So it absorbs RF interference, or it absorbs RF signals as the cable goes through, right? It helps absorb those from transmitting to the cable.
So if I'm sitting 4 feet away from the router and I'm trying to use my radio, is it possible that the router itself is causing the interference? It's not allowing the signal to get out. And remember, I'm using
pretty strong.
I'm using that short antenna.
Yeah, but you're talking in the range of 2 gigahertz,
2.6 gigahertz,
versus 400 megahertz.
Yeah,
that's a big range away.
But it was enough to affect the USB, so I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah, I mean, USB can be affected by it can be affected by your microwave, right? It's like, so you just have to, I would look at either getting a Ferrite choked USB cable or just buying a collection of Ferrite chokes from Amazon and trying that and see.
Yeah, I was also thinking about building a shelf because it's sitting on a table, building a shelf and raising the router a little higher in that computer room. So it's above everything and it's up on a shelf, and that would be.
But it could also be electrical interference, because if the router's plugged into the same, it could be causing issues electrically.
That is, it's on the same UPS.
Circuit.
Yeah.
Could be causing that interference too.
That could be.
Power. Could be the power supply from the wireless router, not actually the wireless portion of the router itself.
All right. Well, some things to think about. If any of our listeners are changing out their router, to think about that. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen that much of an increase in speed. I did notice that my Xbox One is ready to go, because I'll try watching. Don't laugh. I'll try watching TLC live, and it starts buffering to the point where then it just stops. I tried the same.
Probably for the best.
I tried the same. You don't like TLC. I tried the same with my Fire Stick, and it's fine. And matter of fact, it almost looks now with the new Linksys router, it almost looks like it's 4K. The picture looks so much better. So I'm thinking maybe it's time to get the Xbox Series X and go that route. Yeah.
Yes. You can't connect to the internet on it, so get the next model.
Get the next model. Yes. Yeah. Rather than the S, go with the X, right?
Yep,
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
All right. So let's talk about, Justin, you decided to go ahead and take the plunge after we were talking about, AMD, and we were talking about the Ryzen, and Shawn asked that big question, would we do it? And you said, absolutely, you would go ahead and upgrade to AMD Ryzen processor.
If I could, I would. And that's what I said the last time I was on the show. And so we just recently, a few weeks ago, had the, what do they call it? Prime Day. And I was looking through Amazon Prime Day. Most of the time, you're just going to find junk that Amazon wants to get rid of. However, I just happened to see a Ryzen 9 5900X processor that was 45% off.
Whoa.
It was like retails for like $650. I got it for $325.
It's a good price.
It was basically half off. So I was looking at that and I was like, oh my God, I kind of got to do this. Like, I wasn't necessarily needing to, but I kind of just needed to do this.
You've been talking about it. It's time.
Yeah. So I looked up the 5900X. By the way, the Ryzen 9 5900X is the closest. I mean, it's the second to the top of the line they have. The 5950 is the top of the line. 5900 is right below it. So I'm like, okay, I got to get this. But with that being said, I had to get a new motherboard because it's different chipset, right? So I got a new motherboard, and I got that on Prime Day as well. It was like a $225 motherboard. I got it for $175. Not bad. Then I go to a power chart, and I start adding up. Okay, now I'm going to go to a Ryzen 9 5900. I've got these many drives. I've got this graphics card, this much memory. What kind of power supply do I need?
Oh, boy.
And it came back, and two different power calculators online, by the way, two different sites. Came back with 650 to 800. I'm like, oh, shoot. My power supply is a 700. I mean, I'm kind of on the low end there, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and get a new power supply. So I got a new power supply. I got an 850 watt Corsair.
Ooh,
so
good. I like
now
Corsair.
I'm sitting pretty. So I put the whole thing together, and obviously, I've had my history with putting computers together. The first couple times I try to do it, nothing happens. I finally figured it out. I got everything to work. I booted it up into Windows 10, which was my existing installation there. It booted up fine. It got into Windows 10.
So you didn't so you put a new motherboard, new processor.
Yep.
You reused the memory, right?
Yeah, everything else was
the graphics card,
except for the
whole bit.
power supply.
But you did not reinstall Windows. You just went ahead and disconnected that drive.
I just booted up. Yep. I just booted up, and it got in Windows 10, but it recognized the new processor and the new motherboard, and everything was fine with Windows activation or whatever. But it was just not right. I mean, it just was kind of laggy, and things just didn't work right. Especially graphics drivers. Even though I installed the new graphics drivers and everything, and I did Driver Easy for all my other applications or other drivers, it just didn't work right. So what I did was I bought another NVMe drive because this motherboard has NVMe.
Can you explain that
slots
for our listeners who don't know what an NVMe drive is?
So non-volatile memory. It's a new type of hard drive. It's better than a solid state. It looks like a RAM chip.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It looks like
Shorter.
a stick of RAM. Yeah, shorter. But it's exceptional speeds. It's faster than SSD even. Way faster than a spinny drive. So I got a new NVMe. I got a 500 gig NVMe off Amazon for like $59.
That's good.
So I popped that in. I also, on Windows 10, I downloaded the Windows 11 installer. And I got the media creation tool created on a USB. So then I booted up. I booted up off the USB. I installed Windows 11 onto that NVMe drive. And then I rebooted, and it boots right into Windows 11 right away. Now, granted, it's a fresh installation. None of my programs are there. However, I still have my old quote-unquote C drive connected. Windows 10 installation.
Hang on to that thought. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
We come back. That's a big question for a lot of people is when they want to upgrade, what's going to work, what's not going to work. I'm actually really glad that portion of it worked. We'll come back. We'll get the answers to that question. We'll talk more technology and some amazing photos that Shawn took. He can tell us how he did those as well. With Tech Talk Radio, I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme. Find us on the web, techtalkradio.com. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land, this is James Young from the rock band Styx. If you are technically challenged, if you got trouble with that computer of yours, because Lord knows I do, you need to listen to Tech Talk Radio.
So going back to my computer rebuild story, I booted into Windows 11. It booted straight there. I didn't even get an option to say, do you want to boot to Windows 10 or Windows 11? It just went right to Windows 11. So got Windows 11 set up. I had to install everything all over again. But again, I mentioned before the break that I had my old Windows 10 drive connected. So I had all the icons on the desktop that if I went to the desktop folder of my old installation, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I have that icon. Let me reinstall that program. And let me reinstall this program. And then once I got all that done, I obviously updated the drivers and everything, Windows updates. Then I went and installed Steam for games. Now, my Steam games library lives on the other NVMe drive that's in my computer. The games are already there. I didn't reformat that drive. The games are already downloaded, but I didn't know how Steam was going to act with a new installation. So I reinstalled Steam, signed in, and then it said, where's your library? And so I pointed it to that other NVMe drive, my J drive, if you will.
Right.
It immediately found all my games.
Oh, wow. That's great.
But when I went to go click on a game, so like first off, I tried to launch City Skylines, kind of like a SimCity game, right? I go to play it. It says play. I go to play it, and then it comes up with a quick little now downloading required files. It downloaded like 1 megabyte of files, which was probably just going to be like the registry entries that it needed to put in terms of the Windows registry.
Yeah.
But within like 15 seconds, the game was launching. And so it found the installation, it installed the required drivers or whatever it needed to do, the files, for it to play it. But now, every time I clicked on another game that I had, it would just download those required files, and it would install it, and then it would launch the game. So I also tried doing something too. So I've heard that Windows 11 is a little bit better for gaming than Windows 10.
Who told you that?
Well, there's a couple of different websites, but also, yeah. So I don't know. I decided let's see what happens here, right? So I launched up our good friends over at Running with Scissors. I launched up Postal 4, No Regrets.
Right.
Now, prior to this,
regrets.
Yeah. I was getting around 40 frames a second with my NVIDIA RTX 2080 Ti, which is still a really good card.
Yeah.
But using my old processor, old motherboard. So I was getting about 40 frames a second on ultra settings. I launched it up with Windows 11 with this new processor and motherboard, and I was getting well over 60 frames a second.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, consistently. So I don't know if I have, yes, obviously part of it is the fact that I have a way better processor and motherboard. But I have to say, some of it has to do with Windows 11 as well. The game mode is improved on Windows 11, and also my computer just feels snappy. It boots a lot faster. It responds a lot better. It doesn't glitch out like it was with the other one.
What do you think about the new interface?
I've got a Surface Pro for work, so I have Windows 11, and I don't really, it's not bad. It took me a couple of days to get used to, but it's not that bad. Not as bad as everybody says it is.
Yeah, my biggest thing was actually with Windows 11 and the interface is finding programs. Like finding your programs can be a bit of a challenge.
Sure.
You can find them and you could pin them. You could put them on your desktop if you really wanted to. The links to I kind of bundled mine, and this is audio video creation. This is Office. This is tools, utilities, and just make it that way, and it works out pretty good. But I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised that you're liking the Windows 11 experience. There's a lot of people I know have just not been big fans of it.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a growing that's going to have to do. There's a lot of things that it needs.
But the fact you're getting much better throughput with the same graphics card. One thing I'm wondering, though, is a lot of us have run into that nightmare before about activation. So here you go. You've got a new board. new
Yep.
processor. Windows, Microsoft will look at different things when it comes to getting your product activated. And some people have had that problem where they've installed something different and suddenly they're no longer a key is working, and they suddenly have to reactivate.
I think way back in the day they would do it just based off like your motherboard ID or something like that, because that was the one thing that people normally wouldn't replace. But I think now what they do is they look at multiple pieces. So they look at the serial numbers of your RAM, your video card, your processor, your motherboard, things like that. All your peripherals that you got connected, they're going to look at the serial numbers of those. And if you go and replace the CPU and motherboard, well, at least your RAM and your graphics card still have the same one. So I think they maybe use a combination of, if it matches 2 or more serial numbers previously registered, it's a good product. And I'm just guessing here. I don't know, Shawn, do you have any
No, I don't know what it looks for. I mean, we could probably look it up and figure it out, but I don't know what it is. I know it uses hardware identifiers, so probably whatever your
serial
Mac
number,
like serial numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
How easy it was for you to get the Windows 11 key. And I know for those that are still using Windows 7, Windows 10 is still out there and available for the upgrade.
Oh,
you can still find it on the Microsoft website.
Yeah, and Windows 10's got life until I think it's 2025 is when they said they were going to retire Windows 10. I just literally I just Googled for it. I just typed in Windows 11 Media Creation Tool, and it took me right to the Windows website.
But
Microsoft
only
website,
get it from Microsoft. Don't get it from some third-party host or an FTP somewhere. Yeah.
Only from Microsoft.
Yeah. So you get it. You get the tool. You create it. Now, you did not have to reformat that C drive yet because your programs were on there, and it found them and just basically got them okay?
Sure.
Everything's working okay?
Well, yeah, so far everything's working okay. Now, there was a couple different things that I probably should mention is some apps, when you install them, they install their data in the C drive under app data. That hidden folder in your C drive, right? You open up app data, you'll have 3 folders called local, roaming, and roaming low. And if you go into the local folder or you go into the roaming folder, you're going to find a bunch of folders for all of the programs you have. Sometimes they store it. For instance, example, Stream Deck, right? That's the little, I can't even pull it out now to show you guys on camera, but that's that little hotkey system that a lot of video game streamers will use to be able to throw up graphics on the screen or do other things. But it's literally just a 16 key or 15 key hotkey system, right?
Yeah.
It stores its configuration files in the app data folder. All right. So also OBS Studio. OBS Studio, all my scenes, my collections that I've built were stored in the app data. I had to pull them out of the app data folder and put them in the Windows 11 app data folder. Otherwise, if I would have reformatted that C drive, I would have lost hours and hours of work.
But just moving them over was able to help you in this situation.
Absolutely.
From
yeah,
app
I'd
data.
move over. I would move over the required, config data folders or files from the app data folder, and then I'd launch the program, and boom, all my stuff was there.
Nice. Made it easy.
Yeah,
That makes
absolutely.
it easy.
Yeah. No problems since then? I mean...
No, Windows 11 has been really good to me, I gotta say. It's really been snappy. It's been good. I haven't had any problems yet. Now, granted, tonight, because the last couple of days I've been reinstalling games one by one. I'm really going to sit down and just try to play a game tonight. And the one game that I really want to try is Star Citizen. Because remember the last time we were on the show, I mentioned how it kept crashing on me and my computer would just turn off.
That's
not
what
even
kinda,
blue screen.
That's kind of what helped you in the decision to kind of jump and go with a new board processor.
Yeah, so and a better power supply too. So I want to see if Star Citizen will actually run properly now, because it is a new computer, a new installation of Windows, a new installation of Star Citizen. So there shouldn't be any type of corrupted files or anything. So if I have time tonight, I'm going to sit down and play a little Star Citizen.
Now, the other
speaking of the stars,
the other thing on this is that Shawn has been out. He did a photo the other day, and I thought, oh, that's nice. But then I noticed the photo was moving. And then I realized it was not an artwork or a
what?
CG. It wasn't CG or anything like
that's
that.
A movie?
Shawn, you got to tell us about this project you did.
So I've done it before. I think we've talked about it. I think when I first came onto the show, I actually talked about doing some time lapse stuff, right? So I went on vacation this past week, and for those of you who don't know me or haven't listened to the show, I'm really big into astrophotography, taking pictures of the Milky Way, the space station, other stuff. I don't have a telescope, so I only get Milky Way and stuff. But I've got these pictures that I'm showing, if you're watching the video stream, of the Milky Way, the stars.
Looks amazing.
Of a long exposure using my Nikon my Nikon D850. So my Nikon DSLR.
So when you say long exposure, how long did you set it for?
25 seconds. So
Wow.
that means the sensor was exposing for 25 seconds. And the aperture on my lens was 2.8. So the focal length on the lens is 2.8. What's cool is like this one that I'm showing is actually a long exposure of the space. That long line in this image that you're seeing is the space station.
Oh wow.
So that's how far the space station traveled in 25 seconds.
That's amazing.
That is so cool.
So, and I was also using my radio to listen to the space station that entire time.
Where are you camping at in this?
So we stayed in the cabins. So like these cabins that you see in the images are where we stayed at. This cabin specifically, the one with the light on here.
You own these cabins?
No. This is a resort that my wife's family rents out once a year.
Oh, okay.
Wow. These are amazing shots. Did you know you were going to do this, or when you got there, you said, "Uh-oh, I got to take pictures"?
No. So I've done this several years. So there's me standing under this shirt. I've done this countless years, right? So the first time after Caitlin and I got married, the first year I went up was 2015.
Right.
Because she was really mad at me, because this is funny, because this involves Justin. So in 2014, so Caitlin and I had been dating less than a year, and Caitlin says, "Hey, I want you to come to the lake with my family and go to these cabins." And I was like, "Sorry, I'm going out to San Diego for Justin's birthday."
Oh
Wow.
So that's when I flew out for you to go for your birthday. We went to Comic-Con and all that stuff, and
Yep.
had a good time. But
10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so in 2015 was the first year I went, same place.
Or no.
And I don't have it on this computer, but I'll get it. I'll show it during the next segment. I shot images using my Nikon D7000.
Can we put these on the Tech Talk Radio Facebook page?
Yeah. So what I did
on the blog.
This is of course with time lapses I've got to bring Wise cameras into this, right? But what I did was I did another one using the Wise outdoor camera version 2 and set it up for a time lapse for the entire duration of the trip.
Look at that.
I have that solar panel for the Wise camera version outdoor 2. So it kept it charged all day, and then overnight it just used the battery. And then during the day it would charge.
Amazing. No, what camera is this? The Wise?
This is the Wise outdoor camera version 2.
Now, for our listeners who are not familiar with Wise, and if they listen, they should be, what is the price on that Wise camera?
It's around $60, I think.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. You go to thewise.com.
Using the Wise camera, you can put it, so normally a Wise camera stays connected to your home network, right? You can't use it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But the outdoor cameras you can put into what's called travel mode, meaning you put it into travel mode, you connect your phone or your smart device to it via its own Wi-Fi signal, so it shows up as Wise Cam, whatever, the model number. Then you can connect it to your phone and set it up to record motion and set it up to do time lapses or trigger recordings and things like that. So I used it as a time lapse with the solar panel attached, and I captured like 4.5 days worth of time lapse.
Amazing stuff. Really amazing. Again, we'll post this on our Tech Talk Radio blog, as well as which is at blog.techtalkradio.com, as well as our Facebook page, so they can take a look at some of this. So you got to give me the video on that one too.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Cool.
I'll send it to you.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. We come back. What is the hottest game right now if you want to play video games? And Justin has finally accomplished something that everybody should say they've accomplished. Took him long enough. We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin. Let me find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Tech Talkers. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
This game that Andy's been touting this whole episode so far
Yeah.
Caught the internet and just the gaming world by storm. Like, it was a game that it looked interesting. Like, it'd be fun to play, but man, did it become one of the most popular games in existence.
I didn't think it was going to be a game that was going to gain a lot of interest. And when I heard it was
what other game out there you can play as a cat?
And that's exactly it. And I thought, okay, well, they're going to be, chintzy graphics and gameplay. And turns out they surprised everybody.
Yeah.
The company Anna, and I'd like to call them Annapurna now, but it's Annapurna. They're the ones that put this game out. They make movies, they make TV shows, music, and video games. And this has been their big game. We tried to get a key to try it out. That was in such a high demand. They said, no, can't do it.
Yep.
It's called Stray. And in it, you basically are a stray cat.
Yep.
And you go on missions. Now, my friend's son finished the game in 8 hours. But Annapurna is promising that there's going to be, I guess, add-ons. There's going to be some other things. It's single player as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's just single player.
So it says here that this is the official tagline for it. Stray is a third-person cat adventure game set amidst the detailed, neon-lit alleys of a decaying cyber city and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly.
And it's who the cat runs into during the game.
Solves missions and does other crazy stuff. But seriously, the game looks amazing. And what other game can you be a cat?
How original is
the
that?
only game that I can think of where you can play some sort of cat is Time Splitters 2 on the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where they had a remote-controlled cat you could drive.
What was that in? Was that
Time
a game?
Splitters 2. It was just a mode in Time Splitters 2 that you could control. It was bizarre. Don't ask.
The only other cat game that I can think of is in Postal 2, you could use a cat as a silencer.
Yes, I remember that. Thank you, Vince, for that one.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was crazy.
Use your imagination on that one.
See, that's the thing. I think in the game, just like movies, just like TV, the game world has been kind of forced to say what sells, what's working. Let's just keep doing that. And that's why we have so many different versions of Call of Duty. We have,
Battle Royale games.
Battle Royale, Grand Theft Auto, although they're finally coming out with a female lead, which I don't know if you heard that story. If you think about it, there's been no female lead character in Grand Theft Auto from Rockstar.
That's interesting.
So now they're going to have a female lead character. Playable.
I just saw something today. It said that I saw something on Reddit. Avatar, the movie, right, took 17 days to make $1 billion in revenue.
Right.
Rockstar, with Grand Theft Auto 5, the latest release game, took 3 days to make $1 billion in revenue. That's how much people love that game.
Well, plus, if you're going to a movie, you're going to spend $7 for a ticket, right?
Sure.
$8 or whatever movies are now. You buy a game, you're dropping $50, so it's going to be very easy.
Easily.
But that's how many people are playing these games out there, and it's not just the kids; it's the adults, it's the seniors. It's all ages getting into games. I know a guy who's in his late 60s that found Red Dead Redemption 2 and loved it because it was a Western and had so much fun with it. So, the idea of Stray doing so well kind of says something, though, about the game industry. Gamers want original content. Justin's jaw is dropped. What are you dropping your jaw at?
Dude, Stray is only $29.99 on Steam.
Yeah, it's an inexpensive game as well.
I thought this was a AAA title.
Yeah, it is, but it's not selling for a lot of money.
I seriously thought this was going to be a $60 game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow.
I think Justin's getting it tonight.
I'm getting it right now, actually, to be honest.
I think it would be fun too because probably, Eric might like it. So to watch the stray cat, depending on situations that they run into. But, Annapurna's done really good with this, and it's only going to help fund more games and more titles. You got to look at it that way. I haven't played anything really fresh and original in years, so seeing this, although I still want to...
That's the point. It's original and fresh.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all you need. It's got to be good gameplay. It could be original and fresh and be terrible to play, but you've got to have that.
But you hit the nail on the head with that comment. It's original and fresh. That's why it's such a big hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I still want to fire up, Flight Sim when I finally get some time. I've got another NVMe. I think I'm going to do that. Can you do that? Put a second drive in and just install all your games on that drive instead?
That's what I just did.
Yeah. So maybe I should do that because I got another NVMe to put in. I just couldn't find the screw to keep it onto the board.
Yeah, I had that problem too. I had to dig through bags and bags of screws to find one. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God I have one. But no, speaking of Flight Simulator, real quick, if you're going to try to reinstall Flight Sim or even just open it up after a long time,
right,
you are going to have so much downloading to do.
Why is it?
171 gigs was the latest update.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, I have a 500 gig solid state drive. And I have it. The drive name is Fly because that's the only thing it does is plays Flight Sim. That's the only thing I have on it is Flight Sim because it's
Flight
like
Sim
over 200 gigs.
Yes.
And they just keep making that game better and better and better. And the Maverick content is amazing. And
oh my gosh, I did the Maverick content too.
It's so good.
And when you say Maverick, you're talking about Top Gun Maverick, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Top Gun Maverick content that they came out back in not November, but it was supposed to come out in November, but it came out earlier this spring.
Yeah, it was like April.
Is
May?
it still available on Game Pass? So
Yes.
the PC Game Pass?
Yeah, Flight Sim is still available on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
I don't think you get all that extra content though.
You have to pay for that.
You know, you get the base version of the game.
See, so I got the premium content version, and I got Maverick included with mine.
Man, the Maverick download content is free. So if you have Game Pass, you can get the Maverick. You can get any free content, right? You can also buy content, but they can also take Flight Sim away from you at any point in time off Game Pass.
And then you'd have to go out and buy it.
Yeah, then you have nothing to do with the content that you paid for. So, but yeah, I paid for the premium version. I paid like $120 or something for it when it first came out, and that gave me X amount of planes. And then I bought the Reno Air Racing jets, and then I bought some other stuff, and then so.
Well, now for those that have ever played Monkey Island, have you played that?
Oh my gosh, that was a classic.
That was a classic game, and a lot of people were playing it in the days of DOS, which is kind of cool. And then of course into Windows and the Curse of Monkey Island. Well, they're coming out finally. The creator of that is coming out with a sequel, but the weird thing is people aren't sure of the graphics on it. If you think of Weird Al Yankovic's video that he did, the Beverly Hillbillies, which was featured in the movie UHF, which, as a matter of fact, came out like within this month, many years ago, it featured the animation similar to what you saw in there, and that's what the animation looks like in the new Monkey Island. Some people are saying, no, it's, again, another fresh look at something, even though we've played Monkey Island before, another fresh look at the characters in the game. So
interesting.
That's another one.
One other game I want to mention. We talked about this about a year or two ago, right? Cyberpunk 2077, right?
Yeah.
It came out. It was absolute trash.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was released way too early.
Didn't
anyway,
Keanu Reeves get behind this one?
Yeah, he's actually a character
the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, So, well, not the main character as in the guy you play, but the guy, the other person. Yes. Anyway, the other NPC character. Anyway, so fast forward 2 years, right? It's been about 2 years. I actually rebought Cyberpunk 2077 for the Xbox. Now, I had it for the PC. I got it for the Xbox because when I go to Japan for 2 weeks at night when I'm, hanging out with her family and I have nothing to do, I want to play something so I can stream my Xbox from my Surface. Hopefully it'll work from Japan. We'll find out. Anyway, I got it for the Xbox. Dude, this is another one of those situations like No Man's Sky, where No Man's Sky came out. It was absolute trash. You give them a couple years, let the developers finish their work, because again, the problem is not with the developers, it's with the publishers who give them the unrealistic deadlines.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. It's really good.
So they fix it. Well, could it be because you're playing on a faster machine now?
No,
able to handle it?
No, not that. It's all it's the bugs. It's the bugs and the interactions with the NPCs. Like, honestly, sometimes I like to fire up Cyberpunk and literally just go on a walk around town. A walk in first-person view and just take in the sights and all the people doing what they're doing. It actually feels somewhat realistic.
Is
And
this
I don't want to say it feels realistic because
Yeah.
it's not. But
Is this a
it
AAA
feels
title
somewhat.
that you're going to pay $60 for?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah,
But
it
you're
is a
saying it's
AAA
worth it.
title.
You're saying it's
Now
worth
it is. It is. And I've been talking to people that have been, they stuck by it from the very beginning. They're like, yeah, it really sucked in the beginning, but it's gotten a lot better. And thankfully, it actually has. So
Right.
if you were a player with Cyberpunk 2077 and got refund, try it again.
All right. Now, you have a 2060? 2070? What do you have?
2080 Ti.
You have a 2080. Prices are finally coming down on the 3080s. The 4000 series right around the corner. I mean, they're coming down quite. You get a 38. You get a 3080 now for around $799, even cheaper. Has anything made you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and bite? Because remember, they were going for $2,000.
No, I'm not going to bite. I'm actually going to bite on AMD. I'm going to go all AMD, I think, honestly. Shawn, don't you have, what was your new graphics card?
3060.
Yeah.
A 3060. Okay. I might go AMD for my next graphics card. But honestly, the 2080 Ti is going to keep me, especially now that it's working much better with a better processor, better computer overall. I think I'm going to stick with this for a few more years. And I may go to AMD when it's time. But AMD uses way less power. And honestly, right now, AMD has the upper hand.
Well, their
in terms of
Radeon,
everything.
Their Radeon series of cards is actually really good. They've had
And
good numbers.
their Ryzen
Threadrippers
series
are really good too.
Yeah.
Yep, and their Ryzen series is better than Intel right now. So honestly, AMD's got the upper hand.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. Website of the week. Justin's got a good one for us, especially if you love tech. We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme, techtalkradio.com. Find us there. Be right back.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
I actually came across, apparently this website has been around for a while.
Yeah.
But I actually
We've never mentioned it.
We never mentioned it, no. But I came across it and I like it. It's super cool. So the website is, and I got to say it's a weird name, right? But
All right.
you got to spell it out. It's /.org.
All right.
So it's the word /.org. And it's, I think they call themselves it's like news for nerds. But they have all these categories. So you've got, entertainment, technology, open source, science. There's other categories, but I just like the one. It's basically, I just follow their main page, and it's a super simple website. It's text-based. Everything is text-based. You don't have to worry about ads or
I see
videos.
ads. Yeah.
Well, no, there's well, I'm using my Pi hole, so it
All right.
blocks those ads. But I mean, there's ads on it. But honestly, it's really easy to find what you're looking for because every article is only maybe just a couple paragraphs long at the most. And if you want to, you click on it and go to the actual article. But it's kind of like
I
those
like
little.
that their main page is called the Fire Hose. Like you're just getting hit with the fire hose of news.
All the biggest
Yep.
tech stories. For example, for today, doing the show, U.S. gamers spending a lot less on video games. You got big...
Yeah, because nobody's at home during the pandemic. Everybody's not buying video games to take up all their time.
Yep.
Yep.
Logitech will launch a handheld cloud gaming device this year. That's what they're saying, at least.
MicroStrategy reports $1 billion in loss. CEO steps down to focus on Bitcoin.
And attacks on Taiwan websites likely the work of Chinese hacktivists, which we've been hearing a lot about. So again, I mean, pretty much everything. You got crypto in there. You got gaming. You got hardware. You got all kinds of stuff on there.
Entertainment. You can even click on the entertainment section and just learn about entertainment. There's all kinds of different things. So
all right.
Yeah, I kind of like it. So again, the website is /.org.
All right.
So
good.
the word / the word dot, and then .org.
Good website of the week. All right. That's it for this week's show. Hopefully everybody be regrouped and with us next week. Find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeerd.
And I'm Justin Lemme. Have yourselves a great week. See you next time.